Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm back in New York. If you can tell, I was paying rent here. Didn't make sense to stay away for too long, so I'm kind of back. Things have died down back home. Reopening is happening. But yes, I was safe during travel, face mask, everything like that, hand sanitizer, the whole nine. But yeah, so I'm back in New York. So that's why I didn't post last week. I was traveling and it was finals, but now I'm finally done. I have my associates from FIT. But that's not what this video is about. If you're new here, I kind of do topics on like sustainability, green living, kind of like reducing your waste and your impact on the environment. And that's what today's video is going to be about, just bring awareness back to the climate crisis, because yes, we are still in the midst of a climate crisis as well as this insane pandemic, but I just want to like bring attention back because what's kind of happening now is now that the media has diverted our awareness a lot away from things like the wild forest fires in Brazil and Australia and like things that were happening at the beginning of the year. Now we're all concerned with COVID-19 and like the containment of it and kind of like what's happening. Let's also remember that like this is still happening as well. So just to kind of like put into perspective what's been happening that probably hasn't really been covered or people aren't very aware of, there's this website, it's like about news bulletins, and I just looked up natural disasters from March, April, May, and here we have rains that are insane. We have flooding that is killing thousands of people, that is happening, I wouldn't say daily, but it's happening, so at least 10,000 people have been displaced, have been killed, have been evacuated from their homes, places where they grew up. And while yes, these disasters are natural, they're not in the sense that what we're doing is we're giving the feedback loop something to where like the environment has to react to, and obviously these natural disasters are just like magnified like times 10. These superstorms, these 500-year rains, these 6 hours of rain that gives you 6 months of rain worth, that's like not supposed to happen. So yeah, you can call it natural all you want, but it's not. So going just through March, we have Brazil's floods, we have floods in the Republic of Congo, Honduras, this heavy rains, on Indonesia, 45,000 people displaced with flooding. And some of these things have been covered, but it's just not to the extent of like what they normally would be or even should be in general. Egypt, very rare cyclone, like things like this are just popping up. This is all, I have this whole list for March and it's insane. Like the landslides and massive storms and rainfall that's just insane that you never usually see. The United States, I was there when tornadoes were running through the southeast United States, like Mississippi, Alabama, even parts of like my hometown, like people's houses were destroyed. And like that normally doesn't happen so early in the season. Like during hurricane season, yes, we have heavier storms and tornadoes, but nothing to this degree, nothing like what we've seen where just the entire southeast is just being ripped apart, tornado after tornado, and like power is being lost, and like in Michigan, the dam is overflowing, and like rivers and lakes are overflowing, and it's just displacing so many thousands of people. Cuba breaks all-time historic record in April. Chile's historic drought entered its 10th year. People are expecting their second wave of locusts, so that's amazing. The Philippines, their cyclones and their typhoons, and like everything has just been getting so crazy, so insane. And I just want to draw attention back to the fact that yes, this is a climate crisis, and after this COVID global pandemic, the time to take action and change is now. We really need to put the pressure on, but it's very difficult to do when your media is kind of diverting your attention and kind of like doing smoke, shadows, and mirrors and everything, and like has you looking in one direction thinking this is the main concern when there's so many other things going on here. I mean, let's take a look at COVID in the first place and how it became a global pandemic. You have globalization, right? Of course, world travel. But on top of that, what's happening is you have these villagers and towns moving into this forested area and further clearing it and further coming into contact with species like that can have crossovers, like what's just happened with the bats, and you know, we've seen it before with bird flu and swine flu, and it happens, and that's what happens when you begin encroaching on lands that are wildly inhabited, and further deforestation and just insane things like this. But then on top of it, what's happening is while everyone's distracted and in this frenzy, is you have our governments that are still opening coal plants, like Japan, China, Germany even. UK is finally like phasing out its things, but then you also have President 45, his administration is doing 100 environmental rollbacks. I'm looking at it on the New York Times right now. So there's air pollution and emissions, 27 total rollbacks that they're gonna pass through. Drilling and extraction, 20. Infrastructure and planning, 12. Animals, 11. Toxic substances and safety, 8. Water pollution, 11. And 11 other environmental rollbacks that they're pushing forwards. I guess my main point is like, yes, COVID is a main huge concern of the world, but so is climate change. So is climate change, and these natural disasters are just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. And what is it going to take for us to finally take action? Because I'm going to link this below, this natural disaster like world bulletin, because it's really heartbreaking to just look through the weeks. It lists week by week, and every week there's new natural disasters that are like exacerbated by the effects of climate change and what we're doing to our environment. And it drives me insane. I feel like the people that care, which are a lot of us out here, are like trapped in this glass box, and we're just screaming and no one can hear us. And it's insane because like with our current administration, at least in the United States, nothing really is going to get done. In fact, what I just listed, things are going the opposite direction. So now is the time to put pressure on your officials, your elected officials, your representatives. You are the constituents that they're representing, and if that doesn't work, well, we have our protests, we have our revolts, we have our revolutions. So if that's what it's going to come down to, then so be it. I just want you guys to not forget that the climate crisis is going to affect us just as the global pandemic has, but so much worse, so much more violently, and so much more chaotically, really. Rather than staying in lockdown and staying in place, what's going to happen is you're going to have climate refugees flooding one area or another, then you're going to have food shortages, and then it's just going to be war over the climate that we've subjected ourselves to, that we have now woken up to and said, hey, this is enough. We need to backtrack. We need to implement green energy. We need to implement less meat and less resource allocation to things that are just, harming us in the long run. So yeah, I just wanted to come on here and just really quick say something about it because it stresses me out, of course, but it also just kind of like, I don't want to feel defeated, and I don't want anyone else to feel defeated, and I just kind of like want us to remember this renewal of energy that we have with the climate crisis, and kind of like where we stand after this pandemic, and what needs to be done afterwards. So don't forget, the drop in carbon emissions is great and everything, but we're not the virus. First of all, that's so egotistical of people to think that the earth is going to heal because we're staying home. We're part of the earth, like we contribute to it and it contributes to us. We're one and the same. We have to take care of it, just like it takes care of us. And that's all I just really want to say. It's short and sweet, but hopefully this gets some point across to some of you that like, we still have to take action. Things aren't going back to normal just because we're staying home. And things are going to take a lot more than just staying home. We're going to have to really kind of reinvigorate our carbon sinks and our natural ways of just kind of healing the earth, and maybe some processes that we need to speed up our healing because we're kind of in a bad place right now. That's all. I hope you guys like this video. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you feel like we need to give a shit about our environment. Go ahead and subscribe. I do post kind of sustainable, green living-ish videos along with like other lifestyle things, so if you're interested in any of that, click that button down below. Leave me a comment. What are your concerns moving forward from this pandemic? What are you anticipating are going to be some major changes? I would like to know. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!